Hello there, very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes, I'll be taking stock of all the news you probably missed through the night and also what to look forward to in the day ahead. Let's start with the headlines. 3 days left to winter session to wind up, and the government informs that the Prime Minister will be present in Parliament. Congress, BJP issue whip to MPs to be present in both the houses. Retail inflation falls to a two-year low, recorded at 3.63% in November after demonetization leads to lower consumer spending. India halts World Bank's decision to temporarily halt two separate mechanisms in the Indus Water Treaty dispute, says it's ready to engage with Pakistan to resolve the issues. Efforts are on to restore power and telephone services in Tamil Nadu after Cyclone Varda. Chief Minister Pannirselvam seeks 1,000 crore rupee relief from the Centre for Relief, Rehabilitation and Reconstruction. And buses to evacuate rebels and families from Syria's Aleppo arrives in evacuation points after Russia informs military action has ended to allow rebel fighters to leave. Starting with what perhaps is going to be the big story in the day ahead, both houses of Parliament convene today after a 4-day break. 3 days are remaining in the winter session that has in fact seen very little work being transacted. Disruptions in both the houses over the issue of demonetization have continued, but the government is hoping to turn the tide with informing that the Prime Minister will be present in Parliament for the remaining days.
3 days left in the winter session of Parliament, and it is likely that the issue of demonetization will continue to cloud proceedings. The BJP and the Congress have issued whips to its MPs asking them to ensure their presence in both houses for the remainder of the session.
I have to make an announcement.
In the Rajya Sabha, proceedings have been repeatedly disrupted over the issue, with the opposition wanting the PM's presence in the House during the debate.
सरकार का ये कथन रहा कि प्रधानमंत्री स्वयं बोलेंगे, इंटरवीन करेंगे, जिस तरह प्रधानमंत्री एहसान कर रहे हो, ये हमको स्वीकार्य नहीं था। इसी के कारण गतिरोध बना। भारत के अपने लोगों को अपने बैंक के खाते से उनका पैसा निकालने के अधिकार से वंचित किया गया। दूसरी तरफ कई ऐसे लोग हैं देश के अलग अलग हिस्से में जिनके पास दसियों करोड़ रुपया जो नया छपा है वो मिल रहा है, तो इसकी जवाबदेही किसकी बनती है?
In the Lok Sabha, the opposition has been demanding discussion under Rule 184 that entails voting. The government has slated discussion so far in the lower house under Rule 193 that does not entail voting. The government has reiterated it is ready for a debate provided the opposition allows both houses to function.
I would therefore urge my friends in the Congress party and the entire opposition, we are ready to debate this issue in Parliament, rise above slogans, and look at the positive advantages that this change system in the long run is going to bring to the economy as a whole. And therefore, from a national perspective, I would appeal to the opposition to join in this campaign rather than create obstructions.
Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu has informed Prime Minister Modi will be present in Parliament for the remaining part of the session that ends on December 16. He also said the PM can participate in proceedings for either of the House depending on the need. Before the session commences today, both the BJP and the Congress will hold their strategy meetings. Parliament has seen little transaction of any substantial business because of the opposition ruckus over demonetization and some other issues since the session began. The Lok Sabha has managed to conduct only two legislative actions, the passage of the Income Tax Amendment Bill and approval of the supplementary demand for grants. That too amid din and without much debate. Rajya Sabha managed only a nearly 5-hour debate on demonetization on the first day of the session. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
But the Congress party continued to target the NDA government on the issue of demonetization on Tuesday, while party Vice President Rahul Gandhi accused the Prime Minister of waging a war against the common people. Former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram turned the exercise a thoughtless move. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, though, defended the government's decision, stating that the situation will normalize in a few weeks.
The war of words between the government and the opposition on the issue of demonetization intensified on Tuesday. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi took the lead, visiting a food grain market on the outskirts of Delhi. Interacting with farmers and food grain traders in Dadri, Rahul said demonetization has been done to favor a handful of rich people at the cost of poor.
गरीब लोग, किसान, मजदूर, महिलाएं सब लाइन में खड़े हैं और जो काला धन वाले हैं वो बैंक के पीछे से पैसा निकालते हैं। मोदी जी ने कहा था मैं भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ लड़ूंगा। भ्रष्टाचार को उन्होंने बढ़ावा दिया है। पूरा नया ब्लैक मार्केटिंग का सिस्टम।
Another senior Congress leader and former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram also launched a scathing attack on the government, terming the decision an absurd move and the biggest scam in country's history.
People of this country must be sensitized to the fact that this is an assault on the poor. This has broken the back of 45 crore people who depend on a daily wage and a daily income. With a completely thoughtless, meaningless move by the government, and ultimately it may yield no results whatsoever.
However, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley defended the demonetization decision, saying the Congress party's scandalous record is making it uncomfortable. He also said that demonetization will help India become a less cash economy and digital payments will help shore up tax revenues and check evasions.
Each of the scandals which is even today discussed in the public space belongs to that period. Given this scandalous record, it is not surprising that the Congress party is extremely uncomfortable with this anti-corruption campaign that the NDA government led by Mr. Narendra Modi has launched.
Jaitley also said that there are transient problems, but the remonetization exercise will be completed soon and RBI will inject a significant amount in the banking system in next 3 weeks. Vishal Dhaya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
Meanwhile, the Income Tax Department is staring at a huge volume of black money cases post-demonetization. Limited manpower and infrastructure facilities to probe instances of tax evasion will pose greater challenges. Tax litigations are also expected to surge. Take a look at this report.
Once the demonetization deadline ends on December 30th, the income tax officials are expected to get into the act of scrutiny and assessment. The department tackles around 3.5 lakh cases in a year. But post-demonetization, reports say that even just 1% of the 40 crore bank accounts are deemed suspicious. It will translate into a staggering 40 lakh cases that will need scrutiny. Limited manpower coupled with almost 30 to 35% vacancies in the higher positions make the challenges even more enormous.
It's a huge task. As on date, I don't believe the department has such a big setup with it to carry out verification. One way is a preliminary verification, which may not take much time, but if it is a detailed scrutiny, then it definitely is going to be a challenge to the department, and the department may need extra manpower.
Experts also feel tax litigations will increase post-demonetization. Already around 73,402 tax appeals above 10 lakh rupees and 1,85,858 tax appeals below 10 lakh rupees are pending before the Income Tax Department across the country.
If they start invoking the Benami Act, then they have to send notice to the person who gave the money. So both are going to contest in court. And there will be civil litigation, there will be litigation in revenue authorities, and that's the starting point. Then you go right up to the Supreme Court.
The IT department is also expected to scrutinize unusual deposits made into accounts even if they are less than 2.5 lakh rupees. It can also red flag Jan Dhan accounts that were hardly active or inoperative and now suddenly have 50,000 rupees deposits. The Income Tax Department would be saddled with a large number of cases post-demonetization. Once the notices are sent, the Tax Department will have to wait for the response of the taxpayers. After scrutinizing the response and a preliminary inquiry, a tax appraisal would then be sent to the assessing officer. And the entire process is expected to be extremely cumbersome. Reporting from Delhi with camera person Jitendra, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
The Reserve Bank of India has asked the public to freely use currency notes in their possession to keep them in circulation instead of hoarding them. Urging the public to do so, the RBI also said the banks have collected 12.44 lakh crore rupees in demonetized notes until now.
Banks have collected 12.44 lakh crore rupees in demonetized notes since the decision was announced on November 8. Addressing the media in Mumbai, the RBI requested the public to freely use notes they have.
System has been continuously gearing up for supporting the circulation of notes in the hands of the public. Daily we are issuing more and more notes, getting it printed and issuing it, and this will be a continuous affair, and the public are requested to freely use the notes that they have in their hands rather than hoarding it.
A senior RBI official was one of the 9 men arrested by the CBI in Bengaluru for allegedly exchanging 1.5 crore in banned currency notes. Nearly 1 crore was found in raids that were conducted over the past few days. The arrested people allegedly charged between 15 and 30% for conversion.
Reserve Bank of India and its team is also coordinating and collaborating with the various investigating agencies as they come back with the details of the action which are noticed by them.
The CBI has also arrested an alleged Hawala operator in connection with the seizure of 5.7 crore in new currency notes. CBI also registered a case against officials of 4 banks: State Bank of India, State Bank of Mysore, ICICI Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank.
In an operation of this size, there are always elements who would have behaved otherwise than what is expected of them, and we are keeping a constant vigil on the same. We have issued elaborate instruction to all the bank managements to do the central data checking, and whenever they find any inconsistency, it should be pursued further through their internal audit mechanism.
The Maharashtra police seized more than 1 crore rupees in new currency notes and detained 3 persons in Thane district.
उल्लासनगर के सेंट्रल पुलिस स्टेशन को एक इन्फॉर्मेशन मिली थी कि कुछ लोग नई करेंसी लेके बड़ी मात्रा में करेंसी लेके आने वाले हैं। उस हिसाब से उन्होंने ट्रैप लगाया था। तो रिलायंस पेट्रोल पंप के सामने रात के वक्त 3 लोग उन्हें संशयास्पद हालत में दिखाई दिए। तब उन्होंने उनको इंक्वायरी के लिए उनसे पूछताछ की तो कुछ समाधानकारक बता नहीं पाए।
In Hyderabad, 52 lakh rupees and 2,000 notes were seized by the police from a gang of 10 dacoits. All 10 people have been arrested. In another arrest, 2 persons were taken into custody by the police in Hyderabad. Unearthing a racket of illegal conversion of demonetized notes, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested 7 alleged middlemen and seized 91.94 lakh rupees in new currency in Karnataka as part of its money laundering probe. These arrests are the latest in a slew of arrests for money laundering or illegally exchanging currency since November 8, when demonetization became effective. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, retail inflation fell to a 2-year low of 3.63% in November following the centre's demonetization drive that led to lower consumer spending on various food items, including vegetables. This is the lowest level since November 2014, when the retail inflation was recorded at 3.23%. Consumer Price Index-based inflation stood at 4.20% in October. Prices of vegetables declined by 10.29% during the month, while other essential food items like pulses, egg, meat and poultry products too turned cheaper due to weak demand amid the cash crunch. Among other price points covered, fruit prices remained stable with inflation print of 4.60% during the month, slightly up from October's 4.42%. Cereals and products price went up by 4.86%, a tad up from 4.40% in October. Overall, the Consumer Food Price Index was down at 2.11% compared with 3.32% that we saw in October. The CPI-based inflation in fuel and light segment was at 2.80% in November, as against 2.81% a month ago. Rural retail inflation stood at 4.13% in November compared with 4.78% in October. For the urban sector, it was recorded at 3.05% as compared to 3.54% in the previous month. Cyrus Mistry has been removed as director of Tata Group's crown jewel Tata Consultancy Services, or TCS. 93.11% of the shareholders present at the extraordinary general meeting voted for his ouster. Tata Sons, which is the holding company of the salt to software conglomerate, holds over 73% of TCS shares. Mistry was on October 24th abruptly removed as chairman of Tata Sons, but he continues to head several operating companies of the group. His predecessor, Ratan Tata, who replaced Mistry as the interim chairman, is trying to tighten his grip by seeking to remove Mistry from boards of operating companies as well. The latest ouster comes after Tata Industries, a subsidiary of Tata Sons, removed Mistry as director after a shareholders' vote. After his removal from the board, Mistry also ceased to be the chairman of Tata Industries. With that, a quick break here, but more news follows in a bit. Do stay with us.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. In more national news, the Congress has demanded the resignation of Union Minister Kiran Rijiju in connection with a scam involving 450 crore rupees hydroelectric project in Arunachal Pradesh. Brushing aside the allegations, though, the Minister of State for Home Affairs called the reports planted news. The Power Ministry too denied the reports of irregularities, saying that Rijiju had no role in payment release.
The Congress on Tuesday accused Union Minister of State for Home, Kiran Rijiju, of involvement in a 450 crore rupees hydroelectric scam in Arunachal Pradesh. It has demanded his resignation till an investigation is conducted. The party also released an audio tape of a purported conversation between Rijiju and his cousin about the 600 megawatt power project. It also demanded an investigation against all the senior officials associated with the project.
किरण रिजिजू जी की भूमिका इस पूरे मामले में संदेह के दायरे में है और उसके प्राइमा फेसी सबूत ये उपलब्ध है। एक दिन भी गृह राज्य मंत्री माननीय किरण रिजिजू जी को अपने पद पर बने रहने का अधिकार नहीं। प्रधानमंत्री जो पारदर्शिता और ईमानदारी की बात करते हैं, उन्हें चाहिए कि वो इसकी जांच एक निष्पक्ष एजेंसी से करवाएं, तब तक गृह राज्य मंत्री को अपने पद से बर्खास्त करें।
Rijiju, however, brushed aside all allegations of corruption levelled against him and his distant cousin. He said people planting such news will be beaten up with shoes if they came to Arunachal.
This is shameful. Who has planted this news? To help your own people is corruption.
आपने लेटर नहीं लिखा? अभी चिट्ठी
लिखेंगे।
आपने लिखा था लेटर?
ये जो ये न्यूज़ प्लान कर रहे हैं ना, हमारे वहाँ आएंगे तो सब जूते खाएंगे।
Rijiju, his distant cousin, a contractor and several other officials of the Northeastern Electric Power Corporation have been accused of corruption in the construction of the biggest hydroelectric project in Arunachal Pradesh. Their names have been mentioned in a 129-page report submitted by the Public Sector Undertaking's Chief Vigilance Officer. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, in a controversial move, the Jammu and Kashmir government has announced relief compensation for slain militant Burhan Wani's family in connection with the death of his brother in 2015. While the state government has called the announcement an administrative decision, the opposition has once again cornered the Mufti government on the issue.
Political parties objecting to the Jammu and Kashmir government's decision on Tuesday after the name of slain Hizbul Mujahideen militant Burhan Wani's brother figured on the compensation list of those killed in militancy-related incidents last year. The state administration published a public note on Monday giving 1 week's time to the general public for filing of any objection before formal orders for releasing the ex gratia payments are issued. The ex gratia relief was cleared for 17 others, including Khalid Wani, who died in fighting by security forces in the Tral forest area in April last year.
To award compensation to those which the Indian Army claims to be Hizbul Mujahideen's people reflects a compromise being made on India's integrity as also against the valiant efforts of India's army by a BJP-PDP government in Jammu and Kashmir.
Totally illogical, unacceptable, and challenge to the integrity of the Indian Army. The only one way, dismiss the present government immediately in the national interest, country's interest, and save the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Compensation is always given to all those who were killed by the terrorists. Terrorists are not compensated as per law, and if there is any move, we will oppose that move.
Meanwhile, the state government has said that the compensations have been cleared tentatively and any objections on the issue is awaited.
It was a routine case among the 140 odd cases. There is nothing special about it, who was and who was not. It is not the case of who he was or he is not. Based on the preliminary reports, we have tentatively cleared it, but ultimately it will depend upon the objections filed by the departments that we will take a final call on it.
It's an administrative matter which has been dealt at the district magistrates level, at the level of that committee. What exactly are the further details and how did they go about it and what is the procedure from here on?
While the army said Khalid was an overground worker of the Hizbul Mujahideen and was killed in an encounter, his family has claimed that Khalid was tortured to death because he was Burhan Wani's brother. Burhan Wani's killing in July by security forces triggered unrest in the valley in which 86 people lost their lives. If the case is cleared by the government, Burhan's family may get an ex gratia of up to 4 lakh rupees, or the next of Khalid's kin may get a job. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news now, India on Tuesday hailed the World Bank's decision to temporarily halt 2 simultaneous processes into the Indo-Pak dispute over the Indus Waters Treaty. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Vikas Swarup said that India remains fully conscious of its international obligations and is ready to engage in further consultations on the matter of resolving differences regarding the Kishanganja and the Ratte projects. The World Bank's move to pause the process came nearly a month after India had strongly objected to the global body's inexplicable decision, saying going ahead with 2 separate mechanisms was legally untenable. The pause was announced by the group president Jim Yong Kim in letters to the finance ministers of India and Pakistan. It also emphasized that the World Bank was acting to safeguard the treaty. Under the treaty signed between India, Pakistan and the World Bank in 1960, the World Bank has a specific role in the process of resolution of differences and disputes. Now to Tamil Nadu, where 18 people were killed in 6 districts in rain-related incidents linked to Cyclone Varda that crossed the coast on Monday. Internet and telecommunication network services were clogged in the state as the cyclone affected major internet gateways. Efforts are now on to restore them.
A day after Cyclone Varda made landfall in Chennai, the city is devastated. Chennai woke up to thousands of uprooted trees, broken billboards, snapped telephone and power lines, even as low-lying areas reported severe waterlogging. A total of 10,432 people were rescued by 19 NDRF teams in different parts of Tamil Nadu.
From today, we've pressed in 3 more teams because since yesterday, after the landfall, immediately NDRF teams began their operation of clearing the roads because due to the squally winds, a lot of trees and electric poles had fallen. So NDRF began its operation by clearing the trees so that there was minimum inconvenience and to prevent dislocation.
तमिलनाडु के सीएम ने यह बताया कि सिचुएशन अंडर कंट्रोल है. मैंने कहा कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के और किसी असिस्टेंस की जरूरत होगी तो असिस्टेंस प्रोवाइड करने को हम तैयार हैं.
In terms of loss of human lives, the damage wasn't huge as authorities had already evacuated at least 20,000 people from low-lying areas. Schools and colleges were also shut as a precautionary measure. Flight operations resumed on Tuesday in Chennai as the city limped back to normal.
There have been 4 diversions in the morning, but we hope the weather will improve by 12 o'clock and hopefully things should be all right.
Resident volunteers have joined hands with the authorities to accelerate relief and rescue operations. Electricity is yet to be restored in many parts of Chennai. 2 ships of the Indian Navy arrived at the Chennai port with tons of relief material.
The ships have come with relief material, which include food, clothes, blankets, tents, medicine for distribution to the people of Chennai. We are in complete coordination with the state government. I am in touch with Secretary Public and he has directed that all the relief material that is coming from Vizag on these ships has to be handed over to the Chennai Corporation.
Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam has urged the centre to sanction Rs 1,000 crores for relief and rehabilitation and reconstruction of the state. The Chief Minister also held a meeting with top telecom officials to ensure that the jammed mobile phone networks are restored. Cyclone Varda had struck the coast on Monday afternoon, making landfall about 15 kilometers from Chennai. The cyclone has weakened after crossing land and will pass over South Goa on Wednesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
International newsline: what could put an end, in fact, to over 5 years of rigorous fighting in Syria. Military action has ended in eastern Aleppo. Syrian government forces have re-established control over the remaining areas of the city held by the rebels. The end of fighting has been announced to allow the rebels to leave the city in a deal that has been reached.
Военные действия в Восточном Алеппо прекращены. То есть не возникает вопроса о каких-то прекращениях огня, специальных гуманитарных операций. Сирийское правительство восстановило контроль над Восточным Алеппо. Так что теперь наступает этап практических гуманитарных действий, и населению нет необходимости выходить.
Military action ending in eastern Aleppo. This, as the United States called the violence in the besieged city a modern evil.
It is your noose. 3 member states of the UN contributing to a noose around civilians. It should shame you. Instead, by all appearances, it is emboldening you. You are plotting your next assault. Are you truly incapable of shame? Is there literally nothing that can shame you?
Despite Western and UN accusations of intentional killing of civilians, Russia says an agreement has been struck for rebels to evacuate the city without any harm to the civilians.
Контртеррористическая операция в Алеппо будет завершена в течение нескольких часов. Все боевики вместе с членами своих семей и ранеными в настоящее время выходят по согласованным коридорам в тех направлениях, которые они сами выбрали, в том числе в сторону Идлиба.
The deal signals Damascus's biggest victory over insurgents fighting to unseat President Bashar al-Assad in nearly 6 years of civil war. The opposition, however, says its resolve to remove President Assad from power has not wavered.
النظام وحلفاء النظام بشار الأسد وحلفائه إذا حققوا بعض التقدم في بعض أحياء حلب إننا سنقدم تنازل أو نساوم.
The end to fighting coming amidst UN human rights reports that pro-government forces killed at least 82 civilians in eastern Aleppo.
يلي وصلني من حلب انه وقف اطلاق نار بالاضافه الى اخراج اول 5 باصات تحمل المدنيين الى الريف الغربي ولكن ما عندي اي تفاصيل ثانيه.
The bus, which is expected to evacuate rebels and their families from Aleppo, arrived in the Syrian army-controlled area and evacuation point of Ramose. The buses arrived along with a bulldozer to open the street. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's all we have for you on the Breakfast News. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.